Hey, I'm Haley.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're listening to Personality Hire.
The podcast where I know that I would not look good with a French girl bob. But that's all my Pinterest boards are. And I really want a haircut. And I was up much later than I should have been last night, pinning photographs of beautiful women with very short hair that I will never have the guts to do because I have a very big head.
I don't believe this is not a hot take. I think it's a normal take. It's a lukewarm take. It is perhaps even cold. Not everybody should have a bob.
I know.
BOB, you know.
Real call me Bob. Bob. Yeah, I know.
Friend of the pod, Karina. I always
friend of the pod,
Nicki
B.O.B.
Minaj. B.O.B. Bob.
Bob.
Someone named Bob listens. But our friend Karina, she has the most iconic bob. And it's
so
crazy
beautiful.
because she had extensions when I first met her, like lengthy extensions. And it just kept getting shorter. And I remember this before Scandival, but I ran into her at Trader Joe's and I see her like at this point when she lived in Atlanta. I saw her like twice a week. So it was kind of random that I did see her at Trader Joe's, but I ran into her and she like pulls up a picture right away and she goes, "Oh my God, Haley, I think I'm going to get the Raquel from, which is also Rachel from
Vanderpump Rules."
Yeah, this is before Scandival. Like maybe, I mean, it was only a few
And
months.
if you don't know Scandival, it's Tom Sandoval.
Yes, because there was a big scandal. So hence Scandival.
Also, he ain't right.
Which is hilarious. But she got a lob and then it just kept getting shorter and more iconic.
But the thing about our pal Karina is that she has these beautiful, like, fairy-like features and her head supports this beautiful bob.
She's
in a
very
perfect
teeny.
way.
She has a very small face.
And her face is very, like, it's like a beautiful fairy princess. So it makes sense that haircut would look great on her. But I'm not going to lie.
She's beautiful with a beautiful spurt.
She's got a beautiful spurt. If you would have come to my house last night with a pair of shears,
you would have said, "Go for it."
I would have said, "Haley Grace,
you know, I'm the Bob.
Calling me a Bob. I would have let you chop it off. I would have. And I know that
No,
I was not in a right state of mind, but I would have let you do it.
I wouldn't have. You know what? That's funny that you're talking about what's on your Pinterest because mine are those little woodland characters that on TikTok like get a divorce, have drug addiction,
Sylvania drama.
Yes, it's
Slovenian characters. They're like calico critters.
Yes, it's a toy that someone who is funny and demented made videos of. They always have like these huge.
They're hilarious.
So I have those. I have memes of those, and then I also have anything Y2K. Anything and everything Y2K.
I think, you know how when your hair just gets to a point where it's so very long and you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, "This is looking Pentecostal. This is giving Duggar." That is where I'm at.
19 kids and counting.
It's giving something that I don't want to get.
Scandal in the media.
It's
giving long jean skirt.
Exactly right. It's giving
It's giving Jehovah Witness.
And it's
no shade.
I'm here to
that's what it's giving.
That's where I'm at. And so I need to have a little trim. And sometimes, like right now, I guess I'm saying
you should get a lob. You could get a lob.
But here's the deal. And I think that I think you know where I'm coming from with this. There is a fine line between Duggar length hair, cool girl hair, and then there's the mommy length. And I think that the lob is like, it reads, I'm a mom on the go. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for what? I don't want to do that yet. I either still want to feel cool or I want to feel hot. And I don't want to feel in between. I want to be like, I'm hot. And if I'm not feeling hot, then I want to feel cool. And that's where I thought that the bob would make me feel cool. Yeah.
I agree though. You should not get a bob. You would hate it.
I know.
Especially because you've had this long, beautiful hair for so long. I think, which by the way, I was shocked that Karina didn't hate it, but she also started at a lob. So it got more progressive.
But she's one in a mill. She's one in a millie. So
and I think she was like brave enough to say like, okay, if I cut this off, I'm willing to deal with extensions again. Because she already did. So like, and that's a whole other ball game. Extensions are, I've never had them besides clip-in for prom one time. But like, I imagine they're a lot of work.
Over the pandemic.
Did you get extensions?
Let me tell you this. Over the pandemic, I was obsessed with entering Instagram giveaways because everyone was doing it.
Yeah.
Every brand was doing all these Instagram giveaways all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really feeling it. And I entered in a bunch. And I won a bunch. One that I won was an extension. And I think it's called a halo, where it's almost
Oh
like
yes,
a rubber
my friend
band
Carly had one of
situation.
those. That you like flip your head over, you put it goes under a
Mhm.
layer of hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They don't look good.
Okay. Yeah. Don't do it.
That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. My friend
I want-
Carly, I will say hers, I didn't even know she had it. And then she told me about it because I was like, your hair's looking so long. She's like, oh, I have this like.
I'm sure
halo thing.
Carly could do it properly. Let me retract that. I just didn't know what I was doing, probably.
I also think it's like, I think she probably had hers trimmed up and all of these other
Custom.
things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. You had
No.
extensions for your prom.
Oh, that's it. That's all I know. They were clipping. And I tried to use them again. I tried to wear them again. And
That was it.
no, I think send her home. Wrap it up.
That was it.
Check. No extensions for me. Although a few years ago, okay, one time I went to this modeling call. Don't stop. I'm not a model. Okay. But it was like a commercial type modeling. So your girl as a commercial actor, you can do that. Okay. So it was for wedding dresses. And I go and I meet all the size requirements because they're looking for very specific sizes. It was for a runway show. They wanted to show models of all sizes and heights. Okay. So I go. I thought, because I walk in there, there's like all these actual models, like supermodel. I said, oui. On the next day, I was on the cover of Vogue. Like that kind of vibe. Everybody was stunning, gorgeous, beautiful. And I walked in, I said, I'm a solid size 4. What's going to happen to me? And you know what? She didn't dog me, the designer, who, by the way, there were cultural differences. She's not from America originally. So I wonder if her communication style maybe got mixed up there. It doesn't matter. What she said to me, I thought was going to be about my weight. And she goes, your hair. And she was like, she basically told me I was bald. And she goes, do you have extensions? Like, why would you not show up without extensions? I was like, what? But, and then I looked over at a girl and she was a model, not an actor. And I go, do you have extensions? She goes, I have them in my bag always. And I was like, I didn't know that. She called me bald, basically, and it's fine. I left there, and I was like, I'm getting extensions. I texted my hairstylist, and I was like, Christina, girl, I need to get extensions. She goes, okay, well, let's do some research first on like what kind you want, and then we're gonna get them dyed for you. We're gonna do all the things, and then I decided when we talked about pricing of them, I go, nah, I think I'm gonna be bald.
They're very, 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 very. They're just a big investment.
Yes, I'd rather rock
I would love to have
my wig that I have naturally.
Our friend Morgan one day, I think we should do a mini episode with her to answer. I would love for our new hires to submit hair questions.
Yeah, of all types.
About everything. And then also extensions or whatever, and have one of our experts like Morgan or Christina.
Yeah, they'd both be great. And
yeah.
I think they could both do episodes.
Live and laugh and love it.
Live, laugh, love. I love it.
So yeah, anyway, just to put a bow on that, if I come in here with a lob. Just know that this was me warning you. This is the formal warning that maybe a change is going to come.
Maybe it's coming. Winter is coming. Thankfully, it's actually not. But I do want to say about the lob, when you said it was like a mother haircut, first of all, mother. Second of all, the first lob that you said, when you said lob and mother together, the first person I thought of was Angelica's mom from Rugrats. That hot boss
very
lady.
Successful.
She had a lob.
I remember when I was
hot.
When I was in high school, I had a
lob.
It was more of a bob, but I don't know if you remember. This was popular. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a recession indicator.
Oh.
I've got another hair recession indicator, but this haircut was whatever. I think it was probably 2008, right at the height of the crises we were about to embark on.
I had no idea.
With the economy.
I had no idea.
You have to tell me you knew this was popular. It was a Disney Channel special.
Okay.
It was where you cut your hair probably a little below your chin, and then you take your flat iron and you sizzle the shit out of it, and so it loop-de-loops. It goes whoop. It doesn't go
Okay.
swoop, it goes whoop.
That
And you do it
that's
all
like
the way
giving
around
the
your
Susie
hair.
Q.
It's giving the girl from Twilight. What was the girl's name from Twilight?
Alice.
It's giving
Oh
Alice.
my
That's
gosh,
exactly
you had
what
an
it was.
Alice
I
haircut?
had an Alice. And
I need
let me-
photos.
Let me
That's bad.
Let me also go one level deeper with you. Not only did I have the Alice, I dyed my hair pink. I had pink highlights.
I'm jealous. I wanted pink in my hair so badly.
Recession indicator.
I got to get like an extension. It was not my real hair, but I got to get an extension for the month of October, breast cancer education awareness. My senior year of high school, and I thought it was so cool.
When I think about breast cancer awareness, I think about a pink hair extension every time.
Yeah, it was awareness. I was right. I was philanthropy.
I'm too aware. I'm too aware of that.
Also, I had a one. So my dad, my sweet dad, what? Do you wear of breast cancer education awareness?
No,
Slam.
but what if that was a thing where you were like, "What's this month's? It's I don't know, like autism awareness," and I'm going to
so
put in, like
blue.
a blue, right? Like
I'll
what if
have a
that was your
puzzle piece
thing?
earring.
Yeah, like what if that's your thing? Like every
Month I have whatever month it is, and I have a color. Honestly, that could be my new thing. I'm not going to. It's not going to be.
it doesn't have to be, but it
It could
just
be.
to suggest.
I just wanted pink hair. Okay.
I know. I just like the fact that it was just
But,
funny.
and my dad let me do it because of breast cancer education and awareness.
because he needed a hook. He needed a news hook.
Yeah, he
And
needed.
that was
Yeah,
it.
he was like, fine. She wants to be
Let's make this timely. Let's make this newsworthy.
women in STEM. If we're gonna do it, let's do it right. Let's do it for a cause. That is so wicked and weird. But I will say, second grade, I wouldn't brush my hair. Apparently, you know, my poor dad. So he took me to Great Clips, and I got a bob with bangs.
I had the same thing happen to me.
Don't do that to your child, especially if they're homely and they look like their older brother.
Bob,
Tom.
Tom and Bob.
Yes, I was giving Bob. He was giving Tom. He looked like a middle school boy. So did I.
And funnily enough, me too.
And when I let my hair air dry, even today, with my length of hair, I look like Isaac Hansen. If you know, then you know.
He's come into himself in his older age. He has.
I, okay, I looked like a teenage Isaac
yeah.
Hansen
But just
with the braces.
But that's like a footnote of this conversation.
They all
he's
have.
very well.
Zack Attack, maybe not so much. The
Yeah.
younger ones. Which
Isaac-
that's rude, actually, of me to say.
Isaac really has come into his own in his 40s.
Yes.
So I remember we went to his concert whenever they first came to Atlanta. They were at the Lakewood Amphitheater, and we were in the
Iconic.
lawn.
That's so cool.
And we were the girly girls that I went with. We were Taylor fans, we were Zach fans, and my mom and the other mom that brought us. They felt bad for Ike, so they would do this and they would scream from the lawn, "We like Ike, we like Ike."
I
Because
love that.
He was nobody's favorite.
He wasn't. It's kind of like the Kevin Jonas, but now Kevin is also getting. Everybody knows Kevin is the backbone to the Jonas Brothers. They could
Why?
because Joe and Nick, they're the fighters. They fight with each other.
Oh.
They have competing spirits because Joe is the personality hire who can also sing. And Nick is a really good composer who can also sing. So he feels like he should be the lead man. But maybe Joe should be the lead man because he can also sing really well and he's also funny. But Kevin is nice, funny, stable, and smart. So, like, I don't know. Maybe we should all just marry Kevin.
I don't
is what
know
I'm saying.
any lore about the Joe Bros. So I asked that in earnest because I don't know anything. I do know, however, their latest adult man band album they put out a couple summers ago. It's excellent. I never heard any of their stuff before, and I have found myself
Except Waffle House.
I
know the kids like it.
It was, yeah, I mean, it like has boppy qualities, but I have found myself saying I would go to their show.
Oh
Now,
my gosh, it'd be so much
I think
fun.
it would be fun to throw it in a circle at a Joe Bros show.
Absolutely.
At my age, I might throw my hip out as well, but
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure that out. Wait, you were saying some good funny stuff about. We were talking about recession indicators.
Oh, yes. So this morning, I came across an article, aka TikTok, that
It came across my desk.
yes, aka my phone, about recession indicators, and this woman was talking about Y2K style or even maximalist style in homes. And I was like, have I always been in a recession in my heart? Because this has always been my thing. I always like these things. Now I feel little bit more proud to say that I like them. But a few years ago, when I like first moved into my condo, and that was when minimalist was really cool, and I was like, I can't. I need things. I need old things, and I need them on the walls, and I need color. And I remember thinking like, oh, that's not cute. And now people come to my place and they're like, your place is so cute. But before they were like, there's a lot in here. And like, I just always wondered, what does that mean? Like the recession indicator. And I brought it up to Jesse and we were talking about it, especially with now, like, I don't know, Y2K style has really come back swinging. And as it should, half that stuff is really flattering. Some of the cuts of the dresses, I'm not saying low rise anything is flattering, even though some low rise is.
I think that low rise is a recession indicator. And I want to tell you, I might participate in this trend. I think this is the last year of my life in terms of just where I'm at physically, spiritually, mentally to be able to do it. I really want a pair of low rise lace up front pants. I'm sorry. Just let me do it. And if you see me
that sounds
out in a boot.
It's giving limited too, and I love it.
And if you see my butt crack, let me have it. If you see my whale tail, again, that's a recession indicator.
Oh, wow. Whale tail. I forgot about
whale
that.
tail is a recession indicator, as well as ombre hair. I believe that ombre hair is a widely known recession indicator.
We do not have to do that, though.
Because that was an attempt at people to have their hair
grow out,
appointments be farther apart because you were intentionally putting your your color lower down so you didn't have to go as often. Now, don't look at me because this is not intentional.
No, what I was thinking when you said ombre hair, I was thought you meant when like people had like platinum blonde hair and then they had black underneath.
No, this is like where people would do it where it's intentionally you've got some growth up top and then
I feel like that's been a thing in a good way.
Yeah. It was definitely a really big topic of conversation in like the recession in the 2008 2009 because it was a way to save money because you didn't have to go to the hairdressers often.
Yep.
So that, and I think that what you're saying in terms of the maximalism being a recession indicator, when she and I were chatting about it, I told Haley that I felt like that reason being, we talk about the scarcity mindset on here sometimes, and like that's something that I kind of have running in the background of my beep boop sometimes. And I think that people hold on to stuff, especially when the economy's not doing great, because you don't know when you'll be able to get it back. You don't know if you'll be able to afford it or whatever the case. And so I think that having more of a maximalist style, I also think that that's kind of crazy to think, though, that we have been conditioned to think that if you have a minimalist style, especially when it comes to interiors, that means that you are wealthy, because it means you're paying a shit ton more for a lot less. Like you are going into whatever, you're going into restoration hardware, you're going into Serena and Lily, and you're buying things that are minimalist, but they're costing a maximalist amount.
Yeah. I mean,
but what do I know?
The Minimalist documentary?
No, I need to.
Is that the Marie Kondo thing?
No.
What's she do?
There's like these guys who have a podcast about minimalism, and they have a Netflix documentary about it too.
Oh, wow.
Do you have thoughts? Yeah, 2 cents.
Did you watch it?
They were both like really like wealthy white guys, in like finance or something, and then they kind of just dropped everything, and now they have like very little.
Yeah.
And they just talk about it constantly.
Yeah. Well, think about Kim Kardashian. This isn't an exact comparison to what you're saying.
Yeah, because I think they're doing it.
But there sounds to me like they're doing it out of wanting to be like, I don't need things and things don't matter as much to me regardless of how much money I have. But then on the other end of that, like a Kim Kardashian who's so incredibly wealthy, but she spends all this money to get the minimalist look.
Yeah. But which is different.
It's just different. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could be on either end of the spectrum, right?
Yeah. And I don't know. I just think that's interesting that we've come to this place where it's like beige happiness. Remember when everything was beige? Sad beige child. And now it's getting into more of the maximalist vibes, the lived in home, the cozy Nancy Meyers. I mean, obviously this is like not new news. It's been happening for a few years now, but recession indicator.
One of my favorite quotes since I've become a mom that I think about so much is, I remember being a kid and watching Roseanne, and we're not talking about Roseanne, her personal political beliefs. I'm talking about the show Roseanne. That was a big part of what I watched when I was John Goodman. And I remember one time she had somebody come over to their house and she opened the door and she was like, "Come on in. Sorry, it's a wreck in here. We live here." And I think that plays in my head all the time now because I genuinely, when people come in, I'm like, "Sorry, it's a wreck. It's not ever not going to be because I live here."
Yeah.
And my shit is everywhere. And everybody else I live with shit's everywhere too.
If you have a child,
that's a recession indicator that you have a child.
I was going to say your house is just, it's not going to be perfectly clean. And sometimes I am a child. I'm the child of my home. Or, my dog is. There will never not be hair somewhere.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how much I clean. I vacuum once a day. I never thought I would say that. I vacuum once a day, the entire home.
Because you got dog fur flying about.
A boot. In my boot. In my boot. In my boot.
In your boot.
In all my boots. It's not that tight. But I'm just saying, how can you keep your house clean? You can't. And that's okay.
Genuinely.
What about the stereotype of a guy having barely anything in his apartment?
That's
bachelor
real.
pad
It's not a
vibes.
stereotype. It's
So
real.
When I moved to Atlanta, I literally had 2 boxes and a mattress in my apartment for a year and a half.
Yeah, they just guys don't need much. They're fine.
But it is a stereotype. It's made fun of in a way, though.
But it's real. Did you have navy sheets?
Oh,
you did.
God.
You had navy sheets.
I think too.
On my first date with J-Dog, I said, "What color are your sheets?" I was like, just curious. And he was like, "White." And I was like, okay.
Wow.
Well,
I think too, maybe it depends on at what point in your life your surroundings become a priority.
yeah.
And I think maybe for men, it becomes later on in life. And I don't want to, again, stereotype men versus women and priorities and also where their talents lie. But I think sometimes men think that a woman will make a house a home in the sense of them bringing their interior vibe to it. And maybe it's not. Maybe men don't initially have that instinct to make their house a home. Also, how often were you spending time at your house? I'm sure you were out and about, dicking around with your friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I was working constantly.
There you go. Yeah. So why priority?
Yeah.
You were treating it like a hotel, probably.
Yeah.
You're I just sleep here and I have an occasional bowl of Cheerios.
Yeah.
And then I get up and I go searching for Tail on the Town. No, I don't think Bryce has ever looked for Tail on the Town. And if you have, I don't want to hear it, Bryce.
That's how he got his nickname, Be Smooth. We're kidding.
But we were also talking about recession indicators that are outside of the normal whatever. And I was talking to Haley about the Cannes Film Festival and how they recently, as in the last few days, these are not new rules by any means, but they're implementing new
Nudity.
Yeah, and again, this has always been a rule, and it's actually part of them implementing it because of French law, but they're just being a little bit more vigorous about the way that they are implementing no nudity or sheer dresses,
which I think is interesting for a French film festival, being that Europeans are stereotypically a little bit more, which actually, when you listen to why that is, it actually makes total sense. It's don't be such a freak.
They're not
about
over
people's body.
sexualized.
Yeah.
It's not all sexualized. And then secondary to that, no nudity, no overly scantily clad outfits, but also no big long trains and not a lot of voluminous dresses either.
Which makes sense because they had an issue the last few years with the people who were the handlers for the carpet saying, hey, we got to keep going. But because of long dresses and stuff and setting up the dresses for the photos, it was putting things behind and then people were yelling at each other. It was just nonsense.
Yeah.
So I actually think if you are on a tight schedule, fine, make that a rule. It's going to be fine. Our red carpet style is not going to, it's going to be okay.
I do think, though, in the article that I was reading, there was a really beautiful gallery of Cannes film festivals of the past and just these women in these beautiful gowns. And there's nothing beats 90s Cameron Diaz. She was just, she's still a beautiful woman. And I think that there's so much, she's just a cool girl. I think going back to the cool girl vibes.
Yeah.
But oh my God, there were some beautiful photos of her in these sort of sheer, like low cut, incredible gowns. And I'm like, damn, maybe that won't be the year for this, but like, let's not ban
Just
it
not
forever.
at Cannes.
No.
Just not at Cannes, but anywhere else.
Maybe, but it'll be interesting to see if the pendulum swings a different direction. Like maybe this will be the way it is this year.
I doubt it in America.
But I mean, like pendulum swinging in terms of like maybe this year the rules will be a little bit more enforced on no nudity, and then maybe in the next several years it'll just like trickle back down.
Well, do you think it's because also? Well, I think
Bianca Censori, yeah.
Yeah, I think, and that I mean, honestly, I don't think is blasted onto like news stations per se. Where do they like do the red carpet for that? Like I only see things online. Like I'm not watching them live.
Be smooth to look it up.
Yeah. So I'm wondering what was the event that Bianca went to with Kanye and was nude?
Just the Oscars, I think.
The Oscars. So that is like more widely, I think, broadcast. And I do think it's like, I don't know. I think the female body is so stunning and gorgeous and beautiful. We all know this.
I think there could be a time and place to have Bianca's style, and then a time and place for maybe something that's a little bit more demure. And I also think that when you go to events like this, it is their right to have a dress code.
Yeah,
and
it's
so
like a wedding.
I think that it's their right to have a dress code. I don't think that every event needs to be an opportunity to make a statement in terms of like a political statement.
I think that's where I was going with that.
And I also think that you got to read the room. You really do. I think that you can. I don't think that it's a terrible thing to come and embrace that sheer trend that's happening.
Yeah,
like I actually kind of think that it can.
That
be done
Rihanna
really well.
one a few years ago was like everything.
Yeah, I think that it's totally,
and it didn't feel like it was about her being nude or something. Do you know what I mean? Like it was. She looked. I mean, she wore that dress.
I think that sometimes the sheer look can be done so well that it's almost like a work of art when a woman has on a dress that's got a sheer element to it. But I also think in the same way, there can be some sheer dresses or gowns or garments that are more statements. Mm-hmm. And again, that's cool, but there's a time and a place for it. And not every event is going to allow that. And I think you just got to roll with it. It's not your place to make the dress code for every single event.
Yeah.
And if you want to go to these events, especially if you're somebody in the public eye, you got to play by the rules sometimes.
Also, Oscars was not the place for Bianca to make that statement. I'm like maybe more at a music event. Could I see that happening because she's married to Kanye? But it's like, this isn't your event to like.
Well, they weren't invited to the Oscars.
They weren't. No. Well, apparently were they not invited or did they not RSVP?
I would suggest probably they weren't invited.
It wasn't the Oscars, it was the Grammys.
The Grammys. Then that's different. I feel different about her doing her thing there. But if she didn't RSVP or get invited, that's another thing too. That's kind of, but yeah, I feel weird about it.
Yeah. I will say though that the majority of the major news outlets are equating the Cannes implementation of these rules because of what she wore, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
I also think it's interesting too, as an aside, to be a woman that is in such a position of power that you can have an incredible event that's long-standing 70-something years like Cannes really take such notice of you that they feel like they've got to reinstate or remind people of these rules. I'm like, I don't know,
it's kind of embarrassing.
Wild. But it's also wild to have to be a woman that her body and that decision to wear those to the Grammys could have possibly been the impetus for these rules being reunited. I'm like, that's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Women are powerful.
Streaming on on their website and on their social platforms.
Okay, on Cannes.
On Cannes, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
so
cool.
I figured that one wasn't as broadcasted as like, like E! News goes to all the American, events and all that stuff. So I think that's interesting. And I honestly, I have nothing against sheer dresses. I would say that I am more impressed by people which I think, I wouldn't say Bianca is like a fashion icon. She's a very beautiful woman and she, I'm sure, has great style. I only see her in these little flashes where it's like very, like Kanye dressed me sort of thing in nothing. I'm wearing a sock. And I think I feel the same way about Kim Kardashian, a very beautiful woman. However, her style is so the same thing all the time. Like it's like not, it's predictable. You're either nude or you're in something that snatches your waist where your bottom looks huge and your boobs look huge. Like it's like giving less colorful Jessica Rabbit every time. Like if they just put color on, maybe I would like feel differently. But like we're talking about, you're on the same carpet as Zendaya, who brings something different every time. Sometimes she's a Disney princess. Other times she's wearing a tuxedo, slays the house down boots. Sometimes she's very revealing and sometimes she's very modest. She tries things, which I really appreciate. And I see a lot of other actresses. Zendaya is probably most notable when we talk about red carpet style as far as changing things up and wearing different options.
I will say, though, I think that in terms of a brand standpoint, Kim Kardashian is a brand and she is always on brand. So when I think about her, I think that Kim Kardashian has a set of brand standards, the same way that a company might have a set of brand standards. She adheres to them at all times without fail. So she is always within her brand standards, which means that there's a formula going on there. She's never going to mess it up. Everything's going to go according to brand. Now, when it comes to Zendaya, Zendaya's brand is her talent. And so because of that, she has a lot more flexibility to play, to be different versions of herself. Zendaya is not a brand. Zendaya is who she is as a talented actor.
Yeah.
So there's just more there to play with. And if you are Kim Kardashian, in my opinion, there's less to go off the rails with because you have more to lose because you don't have the talent portion of it in the same way that a Zendaya does.
I will say yes, I agree with everything you just said. And also you just like put things into perspective for me of like why that what we're seeing is what we're seeing. But there's also people like Nicole Kidman. I think I can guess what she's going to wear every time. Every single time I know what Nicole Kidman's going to wear. Very talented lady, very stunning, very gorgeous, very smart. Wears the same thing.
Very Australian.
Yeah, very Australian.
Isn't it weird? It's like sex sells in a different way this time around. Like that's when y'all say that, it's like, I think of like late 90s, early 2000s. It was very obvious. And now it's like kind of just like it's sheer dress, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. It's not Playboy bunny where before, I would say in the 90s or early 2000s, it was like very obvious. Overt.
Because we've got to think about it on the scale of, we've not been at this for very long in terms of the way that women have had the opportunity to show themselves and their bodies in the way that they want to. We've not been at this very long. So there always, I think, is going to come a resistance where the resistance can frame itself in the way of, I'm going to have the pendulum swing so far to the right and or left, whatever you want to say. I don't know, whatever, that I'm going to really go for it. I'm going to do the sex sells thing in terms of like, I'm going to be overt about the way that I showcase my body in a sexy way.
Yeah.
And then it starts to go back the other direction where it's like, oh, I can play with it in different realms. I can look sexy in different ways than just like the Playboy bunny, like you mentioned, for example. But we haven't been out this for very long. Women have not had the opportunity to show who they want to be and how they want to be perceived. And so I also try to keep that in mind in terms of criticizing the way that women represent themselves, especially if they're celebrities, because we're still trying to find the opportunity to say there's going to be a different way for every woman to represent themselves.
Absolutely.
So,
and by the way, me saying that Kim Kardashian is dressing a certain way, I'm just saying facts. I'm also saying she's beautiful.
You're also saying your opinion about it. And and for the record, your opinion is right. It is very predictable how she's going to be dressed.
It's just,
but that's also part of her brand. That is, I think that Kim Kardashian can be really admired for the way that she has built her business. She is a business. That whole family has built an empire around just their last name and who they are as a family. And honestly, when you look at it from like a quite literal like a Forbes perspective of like the way that Forbes would say like what makes a talented business person, that family is knocking it out of the fucking park.
Yeah.
In every direction. And everybody knows that the devil works hard.
But
Kris Jenner works harder. Okay. Kris Jenner is going to make sure that all of her family is going to be set up for life.
Good for her.
And good for her. I wanted to tell you something off topic, but I don't want to forget it. So I'm going to say it to you now.
Say it.
I remember when we were chit-chatting about salmon sperm on your face, salmon DNA, splooge on your face. Mm-hmm. For my birthday a few weeks ago, my friend Tiffany,
she got you a salmon.
She got me salmon DNA serum, and
I have serum,
and
I've been trying
sheet masks.
Wait, I have them too.
Okay, I think I like it.
I like them too, but I'm not convinced it's salmon sperm.
Okay, what is it?
But is it the Meta Cube?
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't think it's salmon?
It works
DNA?
great. I have the eye cream and everything. It's very thick.
Does this
very
make you
juicy.
uncomfortable, the way that I'm sitting?
I like it.
Okay.
It's very cash. I love it. Okay, and I think they're awesome. I wanted to test them out before I said anything because I was like, I'm not sure if it's real. It feels good, and it does feel.
Sorry, Kate.
It does feel very like moisturizing. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if it's really salmon DNA.
The placebo effect is working on me, girl.
No, the placebo
smells good, doesn't it?
Smells great. It smells
really nice.
Yes. It smells really good. I love
luxurious.
It. Luxurious.
It smells luxurious.
And it's quite affordable. Affordable. Did I say that word?
Yeah.
Affordable. I think the first time I said it, I said affordable.
I can't do this. I can't.
Where are you going? She's done.
No.
I
mean, like, do this so I have.
She's had.
I was like,
she's got to go get her salmon DNA.
I don't know why.
She misses it. It's hard sitting in jeans.
It's just hard.
Everybody knows. Wait, I had a question for you that I kind of brought up to you earlier. When do you feel like it's okay to gatekeep? For example, I saw this TikTok, again, an article came across my desk, Women in STEM. And this guy was like, nobody knows where this is. And it was obviously this like really great consignment store in Atlanta, Georgia. And the comments were like, please gatekeep. Oh my gosh, gatekeep. Please. No one's going to get mad at you. And then other people are like, I really want to know, but I respect you for gatekeeping this. So I want to know when it's okay. Because like famously a few weeks ago, some girl got roasted on TikTok, as she should have been, because her boots were from Urban Outfitters and not like this vintage brand. Like she acted like these cowboy boots were something at the LA farmers market. And this girl was like, they're beautiful. Where'd you get them? And they got into this whole weird conversation. It wasn't an argument because this girl wouldn't tell her where her boots were from. And her boyfriend was like, blank, just tell her. And she wouldn't tell her.
Yeah.
So when is it okay to gatekeep and when is it not?
Okay, so I thought about this and I cannot remember a time where I haven't told anyone anything where they want to know, where they can like purchase something.
Yeah.
In fact, I catch myself multiple times. I've caught myself just offering up where I get things without people even asking me. Like they'll just compliment me and I'll immediately go, thanks, it's blah, blah, blah.
Well, that's what I assume what people are kind of asking when they
when they compliment you, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. But the only thing that comes
that's what
to
I want
mind,
to know,
which I think maybe other moms can feel me on this, is babysitters. Now I have and I will give my information of the select few people that I trust to babysit my kid. If there's another mom in need, I have and I will. But you have to understand, if you've got a small roster of babysitters and or maybe one in my case right now, and I don't go out often, okay? I'm not bebopping around town with my husband very often, but when you need it, we need it. So if I know that somebody's asking me for a babysitter and I'm also going to need my sweet girly girl at that same time, I might say the phone's cutting out.
Yeah.
I'm losing service.
Sorry,
I'm going in a tunnel. That's the only thing I can think of. And I'm not even proud of that.
No, that makes sense. So, and true. I do recommend, from my nannying experience, I do recommend everybody have 2 to 3.
You need a couple
on deck because you don't want to feel trapped. You like, as a parent, you don't want to feel trapped. And I am the deep belief, I like pump up people when they go out and stuff because I get to see your kids when they're with me or whatever. And I'm like, your kids are fine and we're thriving. So I want you to thrive and be fine.
By the way, if you're looking for a babysitter this summer, go on your neighborhood app.
Oh, yeah.
That's where these these kiddos are on their neighborhood app right now going,
Yeah, all the
I
college
need-
kids coming home.
exactly.
High school girlies.
Saying,
Yeah.
But
Older
what about
high school
you?
girlies.
What have you gatekeeped something recently, or what would you gatekeep if
That's
you needed
a good
to?
question. Like, I don't think
I was just thinking, you and I were sitting here on the couch a few weeks ago, sharing everything in our bags about where we
Exactly.
could get it. So I just don't know if that's the vibe.
I don't think I understand. By the way, I understand if you have one or two babysitters in the same moms in your neighborhood who have kids who go to the same school and have the same nights off as you, they're asking you. I would gatekeep too.
And it's only if I know there's a conflict, because I have
Yes.
shared this person's, because I also want my babysitter to thrive. I want
Yes.
her to be busy and
Booked and
hustling
busy.
and making
Mhm.
money, so that like that's my girl, you
Yeah.
know. But you know where I'm coming from.
I do know what
I'm
you're saying, and I support what.
Yes.
Yeah, I support that gatekeeping.
Gatekeeping is kind of like an insecure little thing.
Yeah, there is
With-
some insecurity tied to it a little bit. And I think there's also like this air
With
of
gatekeeping and oh yeah,
and superiority, like an era,
Yes.
an air of like, well, this is for me, so that's not for you.
Well, my favorite thing is like, I notice this a lot, especially like with styling and like as far as styling and sourcing clothing. I look like I spend a lot of money on my clothes. For the most part, no, I don't, because it's all consigned, or it's very rare now that I buy a new item, and it's usually jeans or something that you like, or shoes. But a lot of my shoes are consigned or thrifted or eBay. You know what I mean? I don't understand gatekeeping that kind of stuff, because why wouldn't you want other people to feel good? So I don't understand like
In
like-
terms of the business side, or like just personal styling?
both. You're never going to have my brain. So if I told another stylist or another actor where I am doing my thing, like, oh, this is my acting coach. Like, I have a really great acting coach. You know how I found that acting coach? Through other actresses. So the fact that I wouldn't share his info, also I want him to thrive. Also, I think that only makes me not look better, but feel better in this industry, to feel less alone when you feel like, oh, we're all like in this together. Like, it feels better. And then also with like styling, why wouldn't you could never style someone the way I would
Right.
style
That's what I
them.
was going to say too, because even if somebody said to you, Haley, let's say you're on a shoot and somebody says, Haley, where did you get that dress?
I'll tell them exactly where.
Well, you could say, if it's to your point, if it's something that's still on the rack at an Anthropologie or an Urban Outfitters, why not? They're likely to see it anyway.
Yeah.
But let's say there was a pair of shoes that you thrifted and you said, oh, they're thrifted. And then the person said, oh my gosh, well, where do you thrift at? Would you tell them the stores, or would
Queenies.
you would say it?
Yeah.
Some women
Labels.
wouldn't, probably.
I'm not afraid, because first of all, I don't have enough money to be in those stores every day. So like, why are you going to take something that I was going to buy? Also, we're quite possibly different sizes. Also, the way we style things are going to be differently. Also, if I got it at a consignment store or a thrift shop, you're not going to get the thing that I got. You're going to get something else there.
The other thing that I always think of when it comes to thrifting, or even like TJ Maxx vibes,
Yeah.
you have to know that what is meant for you
We'll find you.
at
Yes.
these stores. You have to go in and you have to say, I'm gonna hit on, just find me whatever
Come
it
to me if you need to come
is.
to me.
And
Hang
some
on.
days you're gonna hit the jackpot, and some days there's not going to be anything. But what is meant for you will
We'll
find,
find you. You're so right.
in life, and also at TJ Maxx or at Queenie's.
Yeah. But like, as you know, I think going back to the thing about insecurity.
It's just like sometimes I feel like in my industry, it's like when you get that way, it's because that's all you can rely on.
Right.
That's a
Okay.
great point. That is such a good point.
That makes sense. I feel like when I'm thinking about being an actor, like I think of, and this is not gatekeeping auditions or something. And by the way, that's kind of a weird thing to do. You can't really gatekeep an audition because you get sent auditions from your agent. But like when I hear another actor, they'll be like, hey, can you read for me? And I'm like, yeah, I got one too. And they're like, oh, is it for this? And if they give me like some kind of like, oh, you got it too? Yeah, girl, did you just start in this industry about I don't know, depending on the size of the role, 300 to 50 of us got this audition.
Yeah.
You're not alone. You're not the only one getting. So that doesn't make me feel insecure to hear another actor got the audition that I got personally, because I know that I'm going to do what I'm going to do on it, and they're going to do what they're going to do. And both are going to be great. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But again, what's meant for you will find you. Like we were saying last week.
No, I just randomly found that.
A dime.
I found a dime.
She found a Jessie.
I like to find pennies. Pennies are important to me when I find a heads up penny, but I just found a heads up dime. So what does that mean? She's a dime. She's top of the line. Cute waist. Wait.
With a
Cute
big
face,
behind.
little waist. No, I found
With a
it.
big
The
behind.
universe gave it to me. It was meant for me. We'll find it.
No, but yeah, I think like what we were talking about last week with Kat Barnes when we were saying some people can fart and get a job because that job's meant for them, girl. So like you don't,
Yeah.
It's back to that. It's
also back to, I think, and I've been thinking a lot about this lately because I've been recently reevaluating a lot of my relationships lately, and I've been reevaluating my thoughts about friendship and what friendship means to me right now. And I've been thinking a lot about how what we're talking about too relates to being an open book in some ways.
oh yeah.
Comfortable sharing in some ways. And I think that there are some things that are really important to be an open book about and sharing that help build trust easily without a lot of effort. For instance, sharing where you got a dress or your shoes, or sharing different things that are exciting to you that are like in that same vein. That's an easy lift for you. It builds trust and it builds a rapport with people, and it's not a big deal to share. However, on the flip side of that, I have found myself lately leaning more into sharing trivial things like that and less into sharing about things that are really meaningful to me, because I think that I've been finding myself needing to draw some really big boundaries around the things that I share. But that being said, it's more fun for me now to share the things that might be more trivial and build a camaraderie or a sense of trust with people about that, because it's
telling, and it's also telling on who they.
It is, but it's also less of a like emotional,
for sure, yeah,
lift, and it's easy for me to do that, and so it's less of a big thing to me to think like, are they going to think weird about me if I share this, or are they going to take this the wrong way, or can I trust them?
Right.
So that's also just a personal thing. There's no takeaway there of like, there's no golden nugget. Well, my therapist and I haven't chatted about this yet, so I'll come back to you.
I do want to know what she has to say, because I would also say with that, I was thinking about that because when I was recently had all those things happen with acting, and then I noticed who I could tell those things to. So also it's like gauging who you can tell things to, because some people, even if they're not even like, I told someone who wasn't even an actress and I got a weird vibe. And then I told some people, and that when I guess, so I thought it was more funny when I found out the result of something. I don't know how to say that on the podcast.
You saw the humor in it, because are you talking about a role that you recently found out more information on? Yeah. You found out that the person that got this role, you found the person that got it was more of like a, oh, well, of course it wouldn't have been right for me if it was right for her. That kind of vibe.
And this person also, by the way, in case anyone from Atlanta or anyone's listening, this is a famous person.
It's a very famous person
who has famous family ties, his iconic family.
But because this person got it, it was very obvious that they were not
that
looking
it wasn't for
someone.
me.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. And so it has nothing to do with talent or anything else.
No.
This is me saying I'm not talking about talent or anything else other than when I shared that info with people, some people were like, well, then why did I had two people say something along the lines of like, why did you think you were ever going to get something like that? And I was like, girl, because I will. That's why I'm getting brought in the room. So, but also it was a lesson for me, again, emotionally.
Sharing.
Now I know I'm not giving XYZ information to people. Even if I think it's helping people to learn about the industry that they're in quite currently in the climate we're in, it goes back to the same people who are like, oh, you got that audition too?
It just goes, like, the three of us talk about this all the time. the person's initial reaction to you sharing good news, bad news, whatever, it says it's everything about them, what they say.
Yeah.
It is a direct mirror to them.
It's so
everything
disappointing
they
too.
say to
It's like,
you
dang.
is a mirror reflection on them. There, those people. Not every friend, obviously. Haley and I tell each other things. We critically think about them, and we critically think about our friendship and what we know about one another, and then we respond, because that's, to me, what a meaningful, wonderful friendship is. People that just reflect back to you what they think about themselves. No, I don't have time for that anymore. And I'm finding more and more that is kind of like what has been around me for a little bit of time. Just going back to me being like, I got to shake this up a little bit. And by shake it up, I mean, like, I got to
shake it off.
I got to get you off me a little bit. And I got to, oh my God, Nadine Jane, my astrologist, which I will not rest until Nadine Jane, the horoscopist, the astrologist extraordinary, until she's on this podcast.
She will be.
Nadine Jane. But she recently told me that that little relationship shakeup, I should be feeling it right now. I should be feeling a little bit about that. Yeah. And so naturally I am. And she's just, oh my God. Have you read your May?
No, I haven't. I don't know. I still don't understand anything.
Do you know your rising sign?
I have a co-star right here.
Tell me your rising.
We're going to look it up right now.
I'm Leo rising.
I know I'm not Leo rising because I'm Leo.
Question for you about that.
Yes.
Like leaving friends behind that.
Yes. Yeah.
Friends, quote unquote friends. Do you feel like good for doing it, but it's also a little bit of like you're kind of mourning?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. It's so sad.
I've had several, spoiler alert, I'm slightly older than Haley and Be Smooth, but I've had several friendship breakups that have been more hurtful. I mean, I'm still currently grieving a friendship of somebody that's still alive. And so, I mean, yeah, it's so painful, and it can be so terrible, but it also is, I know that this is so popular to say right now, like protecting your peace. And I've never understood what that meant exactly until now.
Yeah.
The peace that you feel when this person who you kind of knew they were pissing in your ear, but then once you clock it and you remove that from your life, you're like, how was I ever living with that constant noise, that constant negativity?
Well, I think it's
so hard.
Sometimes it's in seasons of your life, it's easier to deal with people like that because you're so busy that you don't, or you have so many other things happening that you don't realize. But like, and then you get in this place where you are at peace. I think it's when you're busier and things are blowing up in your life or whatever, that it's easier to allow people who stink on ice around you because you're so focused on those other things. But when you have these more settled and like also you're more confident in yourself and whatever's going on in your life, you notice when people aren't clapping for you or like they're along with you. That's been the worst thing about growing up, learning, having all these great friends or thinking you do, and then going, oh my gosh, this girl who I've been hanging out with all these years literally has never been excited for me ever. And in fact, she tries to flex on me all the time, which, why is she doing that? I'm her friend.
Yeah.
Or like do little jabs. And like I wasn't paying attention before, but then you pay attention, you go, oh my gosh. And once you know, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
Which that's the worst part.
And some people you choose to some people you have to make a choice, in my opinion, which I have been doing this, is the choices when you find that person that maybe you realize you haven't been clapping for me, or you've been silent when you should have been loud, or you've been loud when you should have been silent. Like there's those types of things as well. You have to say to yourself, is this worth transitioning the friendship into something that's maybe a little bit more like, you're a fun friend. We're going to go out and get dinner. We're going to go to a concert together. We're going to do X, Y, and Z, and it's going to be fun. Or are you going to have to say to this person, I really just cannot do this anymore. Period.
See ya.
To me, and to me, I don't think it's this way for everyone, but for me, I know myself, and it's pretty black and white.
Yeah.
And it always has been for me. It's a black and white decision there. But wait, what's your
my rising? Because that's ascendant, right? Sagittarius.
You're a Sag. Haley.
I'm a Leo though.
You're
and then
a Leo, what's my
the rising?
So
what do you care about?
rising. You need to start reading your rising sign.
I'm a likable networker. No, I don't
Your
actually know
rising
what that
sign
means.
is what you will find that you most identify with. Your Leo is your external mask to the world. So yes, a
Okay.
lot of that is who you are, but your Sag is going to be what your internal monologue, your internal dialogue rather with
Okay.
yourself.
Okay.
Start reading up on Sag. You're a Sagittarius?
Yeah, I
What
believe
do
in
I
that.
know?
Like, I mean, I don't believe. I don't know how I feel still about horoscope,
It's
and
just fun.
it's fun,
so
for
fun.
me. But also, I do think, yeah, I think going back to the friendship thing, you just gotta be careful.
Some people disguise it as mentorship too. That's the biggest thing for me.
And caring for you.
Yeah.
Caring.
Oh.
But then Be Smooth, I don't know if you feel this way too. They disguise it as a mentorship or I only want what's best for you. I'm caring for you. But really it's if you try to get out from under their thumb, that's when they say something to you that lets you know you don't give one about me. Or you only care about me as much as it behooves you or serves you. Total.
So
I
it goes
completely
against
agree.
your advice and it's working.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And which means that I might outperform you or I might do something that's outside of your thumb and you're not going to like that because you see me as a threat.
I've noticed that with actors only in the point where, like, I always am at this mindset where we should all help each other out and we should all be on each
Rising
other's
tides.
teams.
Wait, what do you
Raids all
say?
shides. That's what
Shites?
I say shides because it rhymes, but it's rising tides raise all ships.
Oh.
But I like rising tides raise all shides.
I thought you were about to teach me a nautical term. I was like, I don't
Nope, shides.
Never been on
Just
a
'cause it
cruise,
rhymes
never been on
with
a
tides.
shide.
But I would say that it is interesting because some actors will cheer for you when they think either you have something to give them or
Your tide's about to raise.
yes. But then when that's not happening, nothing. Crickets. And I think that's interesting.
I think that the moral of the story is for me at this juncture, I am thriving more with a closer knit group of friends / I'm really interested in reaching new people that I'm interested in broadening my friendship horizons. That's what I'm interested in doing right now because I personally have felt a shift in myself recently, the past 6-12 months. And I'm like, well, why would I just sit in, not that my current friendships or even existing friendships are not still serving me, they are, but why would I sit in this new version of myself and not explore new people to see if I feel a kinship with them as well?
Yeah.
So that to me is something that I'm trying to do, put myself in different positions, different situations with different people and see how I vibe with people I've never would have had the opportunity to before, you know?
Yeah. But I agree with you. And I think it's very clear to me your shift as your friend watching you just since like January. You're a different.
Do you like
Jesse
me better?
I loved you the same always. I'm proud. I'm very
now? Just kidding.
I'm very proud of you. I'll say that. I'm proud of you. It feels like you're really you're giving me inspiration to embrace what I want and who I am.
You always have done that though. That's who
Yes.
you are.
But I've always judged myself for it.
Oh, we can't do that no more.
Yeah, I need to get over it.
You and I can't do that anymore.
Yeah. I've always done it because I literally don't know any other way than to be who I am because
Yeah.
I also do it. It goes back to like my faith. I feel like that's going against everything I was put on this earth to do if I don't go do it. But I do get insecure and I judge myself over it. And that's the devil. That's Satan. Because he's trying to make me scared and trying to say, are you sure you're going to be an actor? Are you sure you're going to do that? Well, look at me now. I'm at this age and I'm still going.
But the thing too that I always think about you in this way, and I think that you do think about yourself. So I'm not trying to put words in your mouth or thoughts in your head, but you always say, I want to be an actor. I'm going to be an actor.
I am an actor. Yeah.
But you are an actor.
No, I'm definitely an actor.
But
No, I
you
know.
are
I just mean that I
already.
want to,
You want to be the actor at the level and caliber that you want to be at. I
Yes.
understand that you're not
I'm
saying
definitely an actor.
you are an actor. Sometimes you just say it. I don't even think that you mean it in the way that like I'm not an actor, but when you do say,
Yeah,
I'm like, no, bitch, you already are.
I am. I fully am. And that's the problem and the solution. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying is that's where my like judgment and insecurity comes in is like, oh, because I have to have other forms of income, which most actors actually do and should. And
Most artists do.
yes,
And art, creative, any sort of creative or art or whatever type of career, a lot of people, we out here juggling multiple
right.
jobs.
And I'm fine with that. I just need to find, I think where some of my like insecurity or judgment from it comes is making sure that those other streams of income, I actually like am being a better me because of that.
They're filling your bucket instead of taking away energy from being an actor.
See,
Yes,
That's it.
I completely
it.
understand that. I full-heartedly understand
Yeah.
that, and I know that that's something that you've been trying to ride the tide of for a
yeah,
while.
trying to figure that out.
Yeah,
It's hard.
it is hard, but you do it, and I'm very proud of you, and I love you.
Oh, girl. Also, what's going on with the moons? You told me something about the moons, and last night I looked at the moon. It was beautiful. And Justin said he read somewhere there was a flower moon. I don't know what's going up with the moons, but everything is breaking.
I sent you Nadine Jane's thing. I'll
Okay.
send it to you again because last night, oh my God,
Everything's breaking.
You're a Sagittarius.
It said everything's going to break because
Haley,
everything's
but
breaking.
you're-
My phone, my car. What else is breaking? Oh, yesterday I got locked out because my electric lock, it didn't warn me. The battery died. I didn't have a key. Luckily, after 25 minutes of struggling, I got in. But
Listen, last night
it was a flower
was
moon.
a full moon in Scorpio. Maybe it's called
Ooh.
flower moon. Intense, revealing, and undeniably potent. Full moons bring light to things. And in Scorpio, the light tends to shine where we least expect it, under the surface, in the hidden corners, in the places we learn to keep quiet.
So my phone, my car,
Not my mouth.
and my electric lock. So it's saying, girl, you're not making enough money. All your stuff is breaking.
It's saying, hey, Energizer Bunny, sponsor the pod. Because
Yes.
we need batteries.
Yes, we need batteries. Which, by the way, thankfully, I did have those batteries. And by the way, I was talking to a friend yesterday. I was like, you know what I really need? Growing up, my dad had a whole drawer, and still does, in our kitchen, full of batteries. I realized, thankfully, I had the battery that I needed for my lock. It was a weird battery. But I was like, now I need to go replenish this because I'm not going to remember to go get this because it's such a weird battery.
I got you. It's called the Battery Daddy, and I'm going to
Yep.
give it to you. Do you know what?
That's what I want for Christmas.
Yeah, I know. I have one.
I want a battery
I got one
caddy.
for you. You don't need it for Christmas, girl. I got you right now, baby.
No,
girl.
don't spend your batteries on me.
A battery daddy? No, the Battery Daddy is a big briefcase
Yes.
looking thing, and you fill it up with batteries, and the Battery Daddy is the goat.
That's what I need.
Yeah,
And
you need a battery.
no, I just realized I was like, oh my gosh, maybe that's what the light is shining on. It's saying
You need a junk drawer full of batteries.
I just had to buy a new battery for this phone, which is an iPhone 12, which by the way didn't fix the problem. They said it would, and it didn't. So they owe me everything. A new
Also,
car
We've talked about this
that doesn't
before.
leak.
Haley's background of her phone has been Nick Saban for since college, right?
Yeah,
What if I
since
got my
college.
hair cut like Nick
But
Saban?
I also not a good look.
What if I put a little bow in it? It'd be kind of cute. No,
Also, I have lots of different, so it changes every time. Like my thumb hits the thing too hard. So sometimes it's Nick Saban, sometimes
babies.
it's Lukey, sometimes it's Scooby.
Baby
It's some
Nick Saban.
what?
Yeah,
Oh
sometimes
my
it's
god, I
baby
should
Nick
get a
Saban.
baby Nick Saban on.
Haley
that.
keeps sending me these TikToks of AI TikToks of
Theo
Theo Vaughn's podcast as when he's a baby.
I'm sending them to you. I'm
You
sending
sent
them
one
to
to me
J-Dog.
where it's so funny. It's Theo Vaughn as an AI baby talking to Neil Tyson
It's so funny.
deGrasse about stars, and he's asking Neil if he thinks that outer space is gay, and then he has the most brilliant answer, and
And it
he's
was
like,
really thoughtful.
He's like,
yeah.
space is on a spectrum, and then
And
he
so
has this
then
most beautiful
Theo
thing.
He's like, so it's bisexual.
So it's bisexual.
I thought that was so funny.
He has the
also,
most beautiful answer, and then he just dilutes it down to so it's bisexual,
by the way,
which maybe it is.
I always get served these Theo Von clips. So finally I was like, I'm going to go listen to the podcast. I don't think men should have podcasts. However, Theo Von is one of those men that should. I also found another man on
Yeah, right.
TikTok who said, if your man proposes to you with a ring you don't like, you should say no, because it says a lot of things about him. It says he didn't care to get to know what you wanted, unless it's a family ring and that's already been discussed. But by the way, he should have already asked you about that. It's all of that, and that this man would make such a big financial purchase without even considering you, the one who has to wear it. I thought that was good. That man deserves a podcast. Theo Von deserves a podcast. I went and listened to a few episodes. Mainly, I want to talk about the Danny McBride one, which we're both on a Danny McBride ride right now. And I love that man. I can't wait to work with him one day, and I will.
He's so funny.
But Theo Von, like, really is so funny because he is so authentically himself. And that goes back to what we were saying with Kat Barnes. Any advice that she has for people was to be yourself. And she's like, I know that sounds so like cliche, but truly no one can be you. No one is Theo Von. Theo Von, you can tell he's not trying to be funny or impress anyone half the time. His brain is all over the map. He would go from one thing to the next. Anyway, go watch his baby AIs.
Do you remember in Men in Black where they open up that guy's head and there's a tiny little alien in there that's like gasping for air and he's trying? That's what inside that.
That's
when I think
Theo
about
Von.
Theo Von, I'm like, that is absolutely what's inside of his head.
And the alien has a Louisiana Cajun dialect.
100%.
And it has a Joe Dirt mullet,
And he's gasping for air. He's gasping
and he's
for air.
Wearing he's wearing a Cardinals jersey. Like I just like we
That's
know what the
he-
alien
yeah,
looks like.
That he's inside of there.
Also, can't wait to hang out with Theo Von. We're gonna hang out with Theo Von. He's gonna be on the pod. We're gonna be on his pod. We don't know. Or he's just so funny.
What if Bryce was like, Theo, come on in?
I'd be like, have you seen these baby AIs of you? Because I can't stop
Of course
watching.
he has. Of course he has.
Well, he hasn't addressed it on the podcast yet, and I need him to because they're so funny. I'll put one in our dump this week.
He's
Please
in
do.
Nashville, isn't he?
He lives in Nashville, yes.
Yep.
Just a hop, skip, and a jump thee.
I'm going on a girls trip with some of the girly pops that have kiddos in Scooby-Doo's class. We're going to Nashville in a couple
Oh
weeks.
my gosh, you're gonna have so much fun.
And I think we might go to Chippendales.
Oh, they have one of those in Nashville. That must be a new thing.
That was a special request from one of the moms, and I said, you know what?
That's hilarious.
I'm in,
Sign me
baby.
up.
And with that, please rate, review, subscribe. Please send this episode to a friend.
Yeah, if you're not subscribed to YouTube, we're literally.
It's close to a little milestone.
Can you
please
just go do it? Oh my gosh, like 2 people
Plus.
away. Plus, we
dot.
love y'all.
And yeah, we love you. This was fun. Did you have a fun day today?
I had a great day today.
Be Smooth, did you have fun today?
Yes.
Good.
Absolutely.
Also,
Great.
Be Smooth just got back from New York City.
Oh, yes.
He was shooting for the Met Gala.
The Met Gala.
And so if you need to go, not if you need to, but you should go to his
Yeah.
Instagram at Bryce France and check out some of the photographs he took. It was
Follow him.
It's
They're so
absolutely
beautiful.
Stunning.
Stunning.
Thank you.
Cool. And with that,
Yep.
we will see you next Thursday. But
Oh yeah, we've come to. We should have told these.
But well, this is going to come out on Thursday. But ladies and gentlemen, and Be Smooth, we're going to be changing the air date of this podcast from probably Thursdays to a different day.
to a different day. It's not going to be on Thursdays anymore. That's all. We know.
But that's all we know. But for now, we'll keep you posted.
But it'll be every week still. So
of course it'll be every week. We just don't know what day yet.
yeah.
But the analytics are in, and we're going to try something new.
Yep.
But who knows when that will be? What? Hello, rate, review, subscribe. I love you so much, and we'll see you next week.
Janine, take us home, sis. Ah.